I'm gonna move
I
my
hate
microphone a little bit. I'm sorry.
you.
Okay.
How about you mute your fucking microphone for the next 20
Uh,
minutes? Uh,
wow.
hey there, adventurers. Welcome to Let's Just Go podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kayla, and today we're talking all about a Walt Disney World VIP tour.
How do you say tour? Let's talk about that.
To- Tour.
Is it two syllables or is it one? Tour.
Chris, why don't
Tour.
you do me a favor and say the word water?
Water. Fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway, so the VIP tour, we were just on one. So super exciting to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. This was my first. This was not Chris's first because he's bougie as fuck and he's done them before.
I am bougie.
It was really fun. We had a great time. I mean, I had a great. Your Chris's girls were on the trip. They seemed like they did not want to be there at all. But I think it's because they're 13-year-old girls.
Yes, that's
They don't want to be with their dad in any way, shape, or form. They're way too
no,
cool.
no. They are like we had a lot of fun, and I'm like, oh, your facial expressions, your resting bitch face is saying otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, and it
It
was, to be fair, it was a million degrees, right? I mean,
was so hot.
it was so hot.
So
We
hot.
were in Walt Disney World moving and shaking in August. So it is a little warm. But so let's talk a little bit about what a VIP tour is, and maybe a little bit about what it isn't, and why you should
Yeah.
go on one on your next trip, really.
Yes.
Um, we often talk to people who are like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't want to be doing the lightning lanes and this and that and being in my app. And there's a solution for that. It is called a VIP
Yes,
tour.
it is.
It is a 7 hour minimum per day. You can book it for one day, you can book it for multiple days, and it's a 7 hour minimum. So we'll talk a little bit about the logistics. 7 hour minimum, 450, roughly 450 to $900 an hour, depending on when you go. Right? You want to go Christmas Day, it's $900 an hour. You're
Yeah.
going to go on September, the Thursday after Labor Day in September, it might be the lowest of the bunch there. So it does vary. You have to commit to 7 hours. You don't have to do 7 hours. You can cut out after three, but you have to pay for seven. It can go up to 10 hours, I believe. And you can add in the moment, you can add on 15-minute increments, right? So at the end of your 7 hours, if you're like, ooh, there's still one more thing we want to do, you can add on a 15 minutes to get onto the next attraction and be charged for that in real time. They can pick you up from a Disney World or a Good Neighbor hotel.
But don't do that.
It's a terrible use of time, right? Time is money in this case. So meet them somewhere that you're starting, right? So don't do that. And they can drive you home at the end of the night or the end of the tour too, if you want. But again, not a great use of time, in my opinion. But if you want to pay a lot of money for
Unless
that
it's
extra,
like New Year's Eve and like you're gonna have to deal with parking lots. There are exceptions, but mostly, yeah, don't do that.
yeah, in most cases, it's not worth that.
Yeah.
Um, and you can have up to 10 people, right? So it can be a tour from up to one person up to 10 people. If you have 11 people, if you have an infant, they're going to make you get a second tour guide, right? So you have to bump
Mhm.
into two tours. Um, the the other piece of that is a good cost saving strategy is a lot of times we talk with families that'll share, right? Like,
Mhm.
oh, we're a family of five. We have a 2, a 4, and a 5-year-old. We're going to be doing the not so intense rides. Here are the parks we're going to go to. Do you want to join in, right? And split the cost, because that's a easy way to get the experience. So we'll talk a little bit about, and then of course you can pick which parks you want to go to, and then you basically walk through the lightning lanes in most cases. Some even have a little extra bougie entrance that we'll talk about. But we started later in the day. And why did we start later in the day, Kayla?
We started later in the day so we could see those fucking fireworks in the
That's
VIP
right.
section at Magic Kingdom. Because at Walt Disney World, this is a thing that is different between Disneyland and Walt Disney World. At Walt Disney World, you need to be on your tour and like finishing up as fireworks are getting ready to start. Where at Disneyland, it doesn't matter when your tour begins or ends, you still get access to the VIP fireworks viewing area. So there
Right.
are differences from coast to coast in the way the VIP tours work. And I would say that is the biggest one, is that Walt Disney World, you need to be on your tour long enough to make it to fireworks if you want that seating. Disneyland, that is not the case.
And in Disneyland too, they'll also help you make dining reservations outside of your tour time for that specific day if you want. Just something to think about, but an added bonus perk to the Disneyland tours, which have the same rules though, 7 hour minimum, generally
Yeah.
the same price point. Exactly what Kayla just said. If as long as you end your tour 30 minutes or less before a fireworks start time, they will let you drop off into the VIP tour. So I love backing my tour up to the fireworks because then you get a little extra value for your money, right? So you're getting
Yeah.
the fireworks in addition to your 7 hour of tour time. So we did that. So it had us starting in late afternoon. Well, what happens in summer in late afternoon?
It's pouring down
In
rain.
Yeah. So it had just sort of started raining. We met our tour guide. They'll meet you in a couple places. So we talked about the pickup, but if you're going to meet them inside a park, they will meet you if you have a dining reservation. So for example, if we started in Hollywood Studios, if we had reservations at Hollywood and Vine, they would have met us at the host stand at the end of that. We did not. So they'll meet you in most cases. They have like one or two spots inside the park if you don't have a dining reservation, or they'll meet you at the very front of the park. Um, Again, use of time. You want to be closest to the ride you're starting on. So you don't want to spend, 8 minutes walking through the park as part of your tour time. So we started at Baseline Tap House, and our very first attraction was Rise of the Resistance, but it had just sort of started raining. It did clear up when we started, but what did our VIP tour guide come with?
Ponchos that I didn't use mine. It's in
No,
my
we ended
closet
up not
now.
needing it. I know. Well, and we didn't end up needing it, so it means we didn't.
That made us some money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back in a free poncho that we can use again because we didn't have to use it or unfold it.
Yeah.
So we talked about there's some things people complain about, a little bit about, right? You're spending all this money and you don't get exact front of line access. You are going through the lightning lanes, right? And sometimes the lightning lanes are always faster than standby, but they're not always fast.
Mhm.
Right? So there are times for Rise of the Resistance, for example, or Slinky Dog that sometimes
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, where the lightning lane might take 15-20 minutes.
Mhm.
The cool thing about the VIP tour guides is they know exactly how long everything takes, right? And I've been on VIP tours. This one we didn't do Epcot, but I've been on and they're like, well, if you want it, Epcot's sort of the worst because all the rides are in different
They're
parts,
so far from each other. Good
right?
God.
So you're spending so much time moving to the next attraction,
Yeah.
but it's a great use of it because they're the rides that have the longest lines. But they're like, all right, if you want to do Soren takes about 26 minutes, right? Like by the time you wait in the line and by the time you get on the ride, walk off the ride, that whole experience, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that. So do you want to use up, a half hour going on Soren? Maybe the answer is yes, but maybe the answer is absolutely not. So they'll help you in the moment be like, okay, this attraction's down, or this is happening, or that's happening. Um, so we were able to hit Rise of the Resistance, Slinky Dog Dash,
Mhm.
Toy Story Mania, Tower of
Rock and Roller
and
Coaster.
Rock and Roller Coaster. We did at one point when we got off one of the rides, when we got off Toy Story Mania, our tour guide was waiting with
Mhm.
10 bottles of water, smart waters too,
Yeah.
not the cheapy,
Yeah,
right?
we had bougie water. Hell yeah.
We had the bougie water. So that's the other thing. They'll do a few drinks and snacks throughout the day that are included. They don't really publicize that. It's supposed to be a surprise, but that's a nice option that they'll be able. And we'll talk about food and drink in a minute. Um, and then towards the back of behind Tower of Terror, we went backstage
Mhm.
and they had a van, an air conditioned van. It was, I guess,
Mhm.
12-passenger van, right? Waiting for us. If you do have little ones who need car seats and such, that's something they talk about in the beginning, and when you book, and it is, they'll have them waiting for you, right? So everything's ready to go. And then our tour guide drove us over to Magic Kingdom because that was
Mhm.
the second park. You can do as many parks as you want. You can do all four parks. You can do three. You do, of course, have to have a park hopper on your ticket, though. That's important. And then we got to Magic Kingdom, and
Oh my god. So we get to Magic Kingdom. I'm riding in the front seat because I get car sick. And I see this van parked very close. First of all, we don't pull into a parking spot. We literally just like pull up and she throws it in park and like I'm like, that's weird that she's not parking, but okay, whatever. But time is of the essence on a VIP tour. And all of a sudden I see a parked van that literally like five or six guest relations cast members just like spill out of, and they are running to our van. And I'm like, what is happening? But they're coming to help us get out. And then one of them suddenly has a magical tray of snacks and it was like Kind bars and Cliff bars and packets of applesauce and chips and popcorn. Like there was whatever you wanted. If you wanted something salty or you wanted something sweet or you were like, I need actual sustenance, like there was something for everyone. Which was really great. And like we were doing it as we were walking. So we were getting out of the van, grabbing a snack and walking. Because here's the thing about traveling with Chris, he means business and he's not fucking around. And if if you are slow, you're dead to him. There were moments when I thought that he was gonna actually be like, Libby, you're out to my mom because I was like, Mom, come on, come on, come on, hurry up. What are you doing?
we'll leave you behind. No, we did have rules, right? Because you're spending all this
We did
money, and
have
and
rules.
time is of the essence. So my rules include, like, if you have to go to the bathroom, obviously things are going to happen, right? You're going to have to go to the bathroom. You might have to take a phone call. That's
Chris
fine. You
went to the
just,
bathroom more than anyone, by the way,
which is
after he
always,
said, if you have to go to the bathroom, too bad. You can't go to the bathroom.
but you got to run. You got to run. I really meant number two. If you're going to be a minute, you're going to have to
I
excuse
did
yourself from the
question if you
next.
washed your hands or not with how fast you were in and out of that bathroom.
I was washing my hands. It's very quick. I was not messing around. Um, so we get to Magic Kingdom, and as you just shared, and when you said guest services, cast members, but the plaids, right? People call them the
Yeah.
plaids. They're, if you are looking online or researching, you might hear people say, "Oh, the plaids." They're the guest services, um,
They're
cast members.
technically guest relations and tour guides. Like, I didn't realize that until she said that because at Disneyland, they're one and the same, but at Walt Disney World, they're wear the same outfit, but they are two separate groups. They're not the same title jobs,
Right, they're in the
which I didn't
same
realize.
uniform, but different
Mhm. Yeah.
different jobs. So, um, our goal was to get right onto Tiana's,
Mhm.
for a
Because of the rain.
it's a brand new attraction. 2, right, it's outdoors, so we knew if there was a storm coming, it would be closed, and
Mhm.
3, they talked about it closes early because it's still
Mhm.
new and they're working out some kinks. We did know that it closes down all frequently, that there's some, um, you
Technical
know,
difficulties.
technical difficulties. So we get on, we're going, things are going well, and then we get right before the hill to the big drop,
Yeah.
and we sat there for 15 minutes.
Yeah, something like that. It was a long time. And like they didn't turn the music off. They turned the lights on, but the song that was playing just kept like it was a cute song. I would much rather get stuck with this song than with whatever would play on Splash Mountain, but it
Unsplash, yeah.
was a lot.
They eventually did, right? But it was a lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on, and then we ended up
Mhm.
having to be evacuated, right? So cast members came, they helped us out of the boats. We had a walk off stage, or I guess behind stage, I should say,
Yeah.
behind the ride,
Yeah.
backstage, and then our tour guide was waiting for us. But the nice part there is she was like, "All right, well, you can get 15 extra minutes." It was already 6:30 at night. We knew that that ride
Yeah.
wasn't coming back up. We had other plans, so we were like, "We're gonna." we saw 90% of it. We're going to cut our losses. We're moving on. But
Yeah.
she was like, you get 15 extra minutes of your tour because, we sat there for 15 minutes and we
Mhm.
weren't doing anything. And that was partially my concern. I'm like, well, I understand rides go down, but when you're on a VIP tour, again, time is money. So I'm like, what the hell?
Mhm.
So I did appreciate that.
There's one other thing, and that is, and I don't know if this is normal. I'm assuming it is. I've never done a VIP tour, but the two of you were texting. So we
Mm,
knew what was happening before it happened. Like, we were
correct.
sitting there going, "What's going on?" And then all of a sudden Chris got a text and he goes, "Oh, hey, yeah, they cleared out the queue and they're coming to evac us." We like, "No, it's coming." Instead of us just sitting there in the dark for who knows how long, having no idea what's happening, which was really nice.
Yes, which was nice. I did get a cell phone number emailed to me about a week out. It said, please only use it the day of the tour. But so we had access to that, and that was helpful just to stay informed and know what was happening for
Yeah.
sure. And then we hopped off that. We got on Big Thunder Mountain, and while we were on Big
Mhm.
Thunder Mountain, our tour guide went and got us all our own order of beignets from Tiana's,
Mhm.
the new little cart that the honey beignets, which were
Mhm.
delicious,
And more water.
and more water. And it was just the perfect. Now, did we spend 10 minutes eating them? We did, right? But that
Yeah.
was okay because it was at that time where, we had our little snack when we got into Magic. Now we're like, okay, we're going to have this next thing.
Yeah.
So we did mention a few things: food, drink. Now, at the very end of the night, I'll say we did end up, we had, you get two snacks basically. You get two snacks. They don't really tell you this. It's not a publicly, like, they don't try to publicize it because they want it to be more of a surprise. You get two snacks. So it could be a Mickey pretzel, it could be an ice cream bar, it could be, but she was like, you want Dole Whips? We were like, hell yeah, we want Dole Whips. This is a quintessential snack of the Magic Kingdom. So we went over at the very end of the night. We did end up getting Dole Whips, and we could order anything from that menu. So there were, Dole Whip floats and with cake pops in them, and we got, some of those things. So um, we got beignets, we got Dole Whips, we got 3 bottles of water because we got water
Mhm.
then again at that.
Mhm.
Um, and the other part there, though, is could you order other food? And the answer is yes, right? So there are things that your tour guide will do. So, for example, if I said, hey, now we want a third snack. I could have said, here's my credit card. Can you go get 10 Mickey pretzels? And she would, while we're on this ride, and she would have. They, in every park, they have a phone number they can call into Starbucks and order it so that it's ready like quickly and on, like they
That's
don't have to wait
cool.
any line and they can order the Starbucks. Now, are you paying for that? You are, right? You're paying, but again, if it's something you want and you don't want to waste time stopping, um,
Mhm.
then you can utilize that as well. Um,
Yeah.
when we got on Tron, she was like, "Do you want to use a locker, or I can hold all your bags?" We are like, "You hold all
Yeah.
your bags for 10 people to put all their stuff in and figure that out." And it was just
Yeah.
faster. But so there's that aspect to it. I've seen tour
Mhm.
guides holding bags and pushing
Yeah.
strollers, and right. So there's just a little added um, nicety to that experience.
Yeah, and if you order Starbucks, I've actually seen TikTok videos because of course I have, where people have like ordered Starbucks and it's their group of 10 and then they get to the next ride and the tour guide literally has a tray and is like collecting back all of the Starbucks orders to hold on to while they're on the ride. Where like normally you're shit out of luck. You didn't finish your drink. Too bad you're throwing it away.
Right.
That's that. So,
That
that was
is
nice.
that's the hard part of the drinks because you only have so much time in between each
Yeah.
attraction, right? I mean, so you're moving. So in Magic Kingdom, we did Tiana's,
Big Thunder, Haunted Mansion,
Haunted Mansion,
Tron. Did we do anything between? No. Oh, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Seven Doors Mine Train, Tron. We did Buzz Lightyear, Space Mountain, and
Mhm,
Pirates as well.
mhm.
So we
Yeah.
did a ton of attractions. We did ones that you would normally, like Tron and Seven Dwarfs, that you would have to pay
Mhm,
additional for the Lightning Lanes, the
mhm.
Lightning Lane single pass. And every attraction, we didn't mention this, You can go on as much as you want, except in this case, Tiana's is a one-time ride. Um,
Um,
so
Makes
usually
sense.
the new attraction, if there's a brand new attraction, I'd say for like the first 6 months to a year, you can only ride that one time. But if we wanted to go on Tron 5 times, we could have just kept going back on Tron, back on
Mhm.
Tron, back on Tron. Um,
Yeah.
which is also nice because in lightning lanes, you only get a lightning lane one
Once.
time for that attraction. Yeah, you can't.
Mhm.
So if you want to go on that attraction again, you have to standby line it. Um,
Mhm.
so that adds a nice little extra
I
piece.
will say the one other thing, because I was really excited. It was my first time riding Tron. I wanted to ride in the front row. VIP can't help you with that. So, like, there was a line for the front row. And that is a line that I would have had to wait in, regardless. Who knows how many trains it would have taken to get to it. So like they can they can get you on the ride faster, but there are certain aspects that if you want a specific seat that everybody else wants or things like that, like I'm thinking about Soren, right? A lot of people really like to be the front middle row because that's like the best view, and like VIP can't necessarily help you get to that. Like you may have to wait till the next round to get to
Right,
that specific spot. So
right.
keep those things in mind.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Um, there were a few attractions where we had extra special access into it. Excuse me, that
Mhm.
saved us a little bit of time. Um, for example, Toy Story Mania, they were like, "Oh,
Mhm.
VIP tour," and we cut up into a separate line and sort of bypassed after where you would normally swipe in for the lightning lane, like the second lightning lane. So we
Mhm.
passed maybe 20 people still waiting at the very end of the line there. We did that for Toy Story Mania. We did that for Tower of Terror. We did
Mhm.
that for um, Buzz Lightyear, Space Mountain, and Haunted Mansion, and Pirates of the Caribbean. So
Mhm.
yeah, I would say we probably saved in every single one of them, maybe 4 or 5 minutes each, but that adds up to that was what 5, 6 thing that adds up to a half hour then that we
Yeah.
saved, and then we're able to get on more attractions um,
Yeah.
for that. And then, of course, then we got dropped off at the fireworks viewing area,
Yeah.
which is on the hub grass in one of the sections that has the wrought iron railings around it. So it's in one of those sections. Not too crowded. In fact, people were sitting. Obviously outside of that
Nice.
area, people are like shoulder to shoulder, and they've been there for an hour and a half or 2 hours. So that was a nice option. Um, what were your thoughts? So it was your first time. What was your overall take on it?
I mean, I thought it was great. I'm that person that whenever I see a tour guide in the parks, I'm like, are they famous? Who is it? Is it who is it? Is it somebody I know? Do I know who that person is? And it's, a lot of times it's not. It is just like like you and me and some friends and that's it. Um I would say for me, I think one of the biggest takeaways of having a tour guide is exactly that. You have someone who knows these parks inside and out. Our tour guide had worked at Walt Disney World for over 20 years. Like, she knows these parks. She's spending 10 to 12 hours a day in these parks. And if it's your first visit, or maybe you haven't been in a while and you're like wrangling kids and you're just feeling really overwhelmed, you've got someone that can go, yeah, there's a bathroom right there. Or we'll take this path because right now there's the parade and we're not gonna be able to get through that way. So we'll go this way instead. And those are things that, like, yeah, if you work with a travel agent, they can do their very best to set you up for success. But in the moment, we
Mm-mm.
we can't help you. And a VIP tour guide can help you. They can give you the best path forward in your day to make sure you're having a good time, whatever that looks like. Do you need caffeine? Cool, they're going to get you so your Starbucks. Do you need to sit down for 5 minutes? They're going to find you the best place to go sit down because they know, oh, well, if I go to this place, there's a little spot tucked away that nobody ever goes to that I can take you to. Like whatever your day looks like, you don't have to be like Chris and running 100 miles an hour through the parks to get as much done as you possibly can. Sure, that's the best use of your time in terms of like your ROI on rides, but that may not be the path that you want to take. And whatever you want your day to look like, they can help you to achieve that. And I think that that's really like invaluable, no matter what you want to do, they're going to be there. You want to take pictures? You've got a built-in photographer. You don't need a photopass photographer. You've got a VIP tour guide that may or may not be good at taking
Yep.
pictures. Like,
And I think so. There's a few other things too, as you were talking, that made me think of. We mentioned that they'll push your stroller, and there are some things that they say that they won't do, but if you get the right guide, like they here's what they will do. And even our tour guide asked, they were like, oh, well, do some of you want to do this ride? And then I can walk the other group to this ride and then we can meet back up, right? Kind of thing. So if your group does have different ages or what have you, and you don't want to, or people just want to do different things, that's an option, right? And you can be sort of doing both things simultaneously. What the tour guides on paper will not do is hang out with your 3-year-old while all of you get on. Um, but here's a little. This is not published, so the on paper answer is no. They will not babysit, right? But 9 times out of 10 they will, as long as your 3-year-old is not kicking, biting, screaming, punching, right? Every human, and including the tour guide. Like, as long as your kid is behaved, they will hang out, right? For the 8 minutes you're going to be on that attraction and off, right? It's not a big deal. Um, and then the one thing though, that the one downside, in my opinion, now everybody on our tour has been on every one of these attractions except for Tiana's a million times, right? We can move quickly throughout the park. But I think the one downside is you do miss the fine details, right? Because you are
mhm.
moving pretty quickly, right? And so you're missing certain things. You're missing some of the line cues that are cool, right? Like, you're just missing some of the details. So if this is your one and only chance, you just know that, right? But maybe your goal is to get on the attractions, and that's that, and you're gonna leave it. So I think that would. I mean, it's not a huge downside, but
Yeah.
sometimes that slower pace is better, right?
Yeah. I also would say, like, for me, I'm not a fireworks person. We dipped out before fireworks because I watched them from my hotel room and I was fine. I didn't need to be directly in front of the castle. Like, that stresses me out. Especially then, like, leaving afterwards. Absolutely not. Um, but I will say, if you're doing a VIP tour, do it in the middle of the day. Like, don't waste your morning. I hate to say waste, but like, the mornings at the parks are quiet. You don't need to have a tour guide that's taking you to save you time, because a lot of things are going to be a walk on or a really short wait. And so if there are things that you really want to do, like Peter Pan's flight, that one's actually a bad example because I think that line gets long really early. But like, there are things that like, it's a small world. Let's go across the way. It's a small world. You can go on it. You don't need a VIP tour to go on It's a Small World with a short line. You can just do that in the morning. And I think that if there are cues that you really want to see, or there are things that you really want to like take in, do that before your tour starts. And that way you're maximizing your time on the tour. I don't think you need to have a tour that starts at 8 or 9 a.m. Like, that just, again, to
No.
me seems like a
Well,
waste of hours.
and we were moving, right? I mean, we were all pretty
Mhm.
exhausted. I mean, even if it wasn't hot. On these, you're like, oh my God, we're moving a lot in 7 hours. So it's also
Yeah.
okay to take a quieter, easier morning, maybe get a big
Mhm.
lunch before you hit the ground running, because you're not really eating anything after
Yeah.
that kind of thing. We didn't talk about this, but parade viewing options, they would have, if that was a priority for us, they would have done that. And to go back to your point, the nice part of that is the Festival of Fantasy Parade, for example, generally at 3 p.m. in Disney, in Magic Kingdom, starts over by Tiana's Bayou, formerly Splash, and then ends in at the beginning of Main Street, right?
Mhm.
So, but the VIP viewing is on the train tracks, or on top
Oh,
of the
yeah.
train station,
Yeah.
right? Which is at the very end. So the parade doesn't really start doesn't really even get down there until like 3:15, for example. So you don't want to be
Mhm.
there at 2:50 and then watch the parade and spend an hour at the parade. So they know exactly the time to get you up onto the train station to see it so that you don't miss anything, but then you get, you're not wasting a lot of time. So it's those little details, like that you mentioned, that I think are really important, especially for the people who are first timers or who are just generally overwhelmed by the process.
Yeah. And you also don't have to park hop. I mean, you're talking about how we
No,
moved a lot. You could spend a whole day at Magic Kingdom with a
I
tour
would
guide.
I would do Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Um, would be the only,
Yeah.
if I was going to
You
say.
easily could. Yeah. But like, and again, you don't have to go as fast as we were going. This is a bunch of travel professionals and family members who have been to the parks many times. We are all seasoned professionals at this point. Like, we
Right.
know what we want to do, we know we want to get in and get out. And that is not probably going to be the case for you. And you don't have to run. You can dilly dally. You can go into a store. You can. I do kind of wish that we had more air conditioning breaks because I'm that person that's like, there's a store, hurry, go. We're going in not to buy anything, but only for air conditioning. And like, yeah, that would
Yeah.
have been nice to have more of. But also, a group of 10 getting through a store is a pain in the ass. So, you know,
And we did pick most of the attractions, though, at least in Hollywood Studios, were inside, at least.
yeah,
So we had, of the five, we did four of them were indoors. So we
yeah,
had some options.
we did. Yeah.
So I think that's it. You have to experience it.
Mhm.
Sometimes when we talked with people, they're like, "Oh, the price point, right?" But really, it's what value does convenience have when you're not having to buy lightning lanes for that day, when you're getting your snacks and waters. I mean, does that add up to $5,000-$6,000? No, but the convenience factor and the ability to move about the day and have an incredible day with no stress.
Mhm.
Right? Every little problem is solved for you in real time, which is, you can't ask for more than that.
Yeah. And I would say also, like, yes, if you look at the overall cost for one day of having a VIP tour guide, it is very expensive. But if you have 10 people and it's adults and you're all splitting that cost by adult, it's it's really in my opinion reasonably priced, especially when you think about, yeah, how much are you going to pay for those snacks, how much are you going to pay for the lightning lanes. Are you the kind of person who pays for conveniences as it is? Because Chris and I sure do. So like that for
Well, I
us,
mean, right. You make that a good, I mean, if you're a family of three or a group of three and you're going on the tour and spending $6,000, well, versus
yeah.
10 people going on the tour spending $600 a person, well, people are
Mhm.
spending $2,000 to go to a Taylor Swift concert. Not that we're comparing the two, but six hundred
Yeah.
dollars for a 7 hour experience where you're getting snacks and you're getting, you know, VIP treatment and you're not waiting in lines and you're getting all the things is not the
Mhm.
worst thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's obviously not for everyone, and that's okay. But if it is for you, then it is for you. And if you've listened to this episode because you've been interested about it, then let's be honest, it's for you.
And it's time to just go.
Yeah,
Let's
and
get you
it's time to just go, and you should reach out to Chris and I. We can help get you in contact with the right people and make sure that you have an amazing experience. And you could be really bougie like me and also stay at the Grand Floridian Club level because you said YOLO. And
that's
I don't regret that decision at all.
no.
Um, we can talk about that in a different episode.
Yep, and reach out, like we said, reach out because you can't just book at any time. There's certain booking restrictions and so forth. So a travel professional can help you get that going.
But in the meantime, we appreciate all of you so much. We hope you want to do a VIP tour. If you need like two more people to like join the tour, I think Chris and I could probably clear our schedules to
Yeah,
help you make
we'll,
that happen.
we'll
Not
figure
a
it out.
problem. Just let
Not a
us
problem.
know. But until next time, let's just go.